Yes, sir.
Okay. We are live streamed. Hi everyone. Welcome. This is Krishna Priya, and this is the Human Colony Hucolo webinar. It is Saturday, the 28th. Is that right? Am I right? May. Thank you. 28th of May, 2023. We have with us back after I don't even know how long, since pre-pandemic, I'm pretty sure. We have Language of Light's Wendy Wolfe-Yelen and her husband, David Yellen. Hello, how are you guys? Coming to us live from Alabama.
Perfect. And you?
And Wendy just dropped out. Now she's back. And we have, great, welcome. And let me just see who we have in the room. We have myself, Michelle, Beverly, Bola, Joan, Celeste, Susan, Suzanne, and Wendy. So, and Angie will be joining us. Is it the 27th?
Yes, I was just going to say it's
I don't
the
know what day it is. It's some day. It's either 27th, 28th. Is it the 27th or 28th?
It is the 27th. Yeah. And it's Memorial Weekend for us in the United States.
I'm Zen. I'm back. What is happening? It's Wendy's energy. It's too strong. Okay. All right. Well, whatever date it is, it's either the 27th or the 28th.
It's the 27th.
All right. Whether it's the 27th or the 28th, we're going to get this webinar started. How's that?
Great.
Okay. So Wendy, why don't you, just because maybe I need my internet to settle, why don't you start with a light language blessing, and then we'll have Napolitano, I can't say any, Napolitano, have her do light language blessing, and then we'll get started.
Absolutely.
And let my internet settle. Okay. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
So much love to you all. Thank you to all of our guides for being with all of us today. Lakota veshe, ne maria no itavarun deshe ikilabasopora veshe, ma ante in koyapora vesaporo, umoroena, alake ala simbari shatono indiara kovala cosete, kiveshe. Minami ala katavea so sombale androge, sinai ala ze javashono, plojune iki taviso, sabashukuli nariavaso toye, ala shamiato alikite. Oh my God, you guys, I'm all tingly. Would you like to say a blessing as well?
Sure. I would take anewa itia nua ene tu ka ne anewa ka newa ta iwa ne tiwa to aina te ane kane tu aina te ana antua ene te ka ane tia tua ne tu ne ta. Thank you.
The joy is just beaming out of us. That's about the best way to say what I want to say. Go ahead, Wendy.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Akahiana jujuana de corretni dikdera patbiu tu in dikdria ayu titia takaina apayan ni yurutu in hahira nananaira tu jujua ahia tatai tikahira maba tatuko in yiti jujuara ta itkarira matai tatatai tatatai tatatai. I have a translation for that too.
Go for
May
it.
the blessings of God's in the Most High direct source be with you today and always, as we are rebirthing and preparing for these new moments of light and energy to come through. We ask you to open your hearts, to open your hearts, to open your hearts, and find love and find the fulfillment within you coming from Most High. Bring in the light, allow the light, and Feel the energies. You are love, you are love, you are love. That's all I got.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
so much. Yeah. I know it's like the light languages want to pour out of me. It's been actually a little while since I've actually had the opportunity to be speaking light languages for a little while, just because we've been so preoccupied and busy. So it's definitely, I feel the blessings of being here today with all of you. And it's so exciting I feel like I'm home. I want to thank everyone for being here and joining us here today. I'm definitely, this feels like home to me.
And we are honored, and I feel very honored to be here with all of you and to participate and receive all these blessings. I think someone else said they wanted to.
Yeah, if somebody
Go
does
to-
want to do a blessing, please do. Go right ahead.
Did someone else want to do a light language? Was it Joan or maybe, or
I did.
Susan? Oh, Susan, go ahead, Susan. And then
And I
maybe
think
Michelle.
I think Michelle too.
Okay, whoever wants to do it, please go ahead. It's a light language webinar, so as many light languages that can play, I think we should do
Yeah.
them.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Te sukua yesi kitaya tua, hiazia kaya tutotea yasia kutu, hiazia ukutu yutikaya, great blessings for all. Siaya sukua diatia, hiazuya sukutu ya suku diatia. This is a most auspicious gathering. Sukotaya tu, hiazio tuku, you great beings of the light. Sukotaya hia, sukutia, hiazia tuku, feel the love connection with one another. Sukoya yes, kia. Here suku tu dieta here to go here tete to hazia here to expand it outwards to kuya ya sikia to lighten your world sikaya tu ya here sia you to ya kia here siku to touch all in your vicinity sikaya tu ya sia ikia here siku ya tuka ya, and this is one of the great services that you can provide to your human family. I think that was my galactic dragon guide, Eonor.
Wonderful message. Thank you. This is what I love about light language is as each person speaks, it brings the messages through to all of us, for all of us, from all of our multidimensional guides, the infiniteness of which we can't really comprehend. So thank you for that beautiful message. Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. This is a blessing from Muriel. Tia toro konya hara goro diatara. Ia kanya hara go. Dia kora dianya hara gori dia karata. Chia konya hara ka. Ia karadora gianya. Ianya hori giatara. Onya ha. Ia karata. Namaste.
And I do hear messages, and I hear my version, I guess in English, because that's what I speak. And I hear my versions of what everyone is saying too. Now it might be different from someone else's version what they're receiving, because each of us are going to pick up a different level or layer of that message. So that's what I hear too. When I'm hearing light languages, I hear the multidimensionality of it, and there's so much information packed in these light languages that I hear multiple conversations. So it's very interesting for me to hear all of you speaking too, because I get to hear it's sort of like a symphony. So I wonder, and we could talk about this, in a little bit, but it's sort of like a symphony for me. And I'm curious to see if anybody else experiences things like that, where it's sort of like you're getting multiple conversations, and then to want to funnel that into one message. Sometimes I find I don't have the vocabulary. That's what happens to me sometimes. So please, would someone else like to share?
Wendy, I would think it would be great if you could, am I coming through clear? Because I think I'm
You are.
probably, okay, great. I think that would be, because your language has, and your development of light language has evolved over the many, many years. And it would really kind of be good for people who don't know who you are, before we sort of open this up to discussion, to sort of introduce yourself, talk about a little bit about your journey, and then especially because you know, with you and Dave now together, it would be great if you could touch on how this is all sort of coalesced to bring you all together, so that, you know, we know what's happening. Because it's interesting that, because I know you've been getting light language for, I mean, before anybody knew what languages were, you were getting light language. So why don't you talk a little bit about your journey and let people know who you are, and then move into present day, but no rush, but just
Gotcha.
talk it through. And then, you know, I hope you have some of your beautiful drawings that
I
you
do.
do, and you're beautiful.
Hi,
Okay, so let me let you take it away, and
Liney.
and hopefully my internet will settle while we're doing this. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Krishna Priya. Thank you so much, you guys. Boy, my heart chakra is just so wide open. Right around, and I'll be kind of as brief as I can, but I feel like this is home because this is where I began speaking light language. It's where everything started for me. Jim, all of it, everything began for me here in Hucolo. And I started really in about 2010. I started looking for peace in my heart, answers from my angels. You can read my bio. I don't really want to go into all of that, but it's something that I've been in tune with all my life. I think most of us have been, even if we're not aware of that. I always believed I could talk to things and animals and spirits and angels. And I believe that there was way more out there. I've always believed in extraterrestrials. I even thought as a little child, how could we be so naive as to think that we're the only thing in creation? I'm like, really? Even as a little kid. And even as a child, my mother would say, you are an old soul. I was like 4 years old. She's like, I don't know how to answer your questions. And I think that's kind of normal for kids anyway, but nonetheless. So anyway, right around 2010, I had between 2000 and 2010, I had 6 rotator cuff surgeries, and I'd had enough. That's all I could. I had enough of the painkillers. I had enough of the everything, just everything. And I knew somehow, some way, there was a way I was able to heal myself. And I just knew it. I knew inside of my heart, I knew innately, this is something we could all do. I have always believed we are all psychic. I believe that we all contain all of those things. And it's just what's relevant to your journey today in this particular journey. I believe in multidimensionality. I believe I understand more about, I started to learn more about multidimensionality. I found channeling. I was looking for, so what happened to me was in 2011, I seriously, you guys, 1111 is the thing. It woke me up. I've even started journals now about recording 1111 and multiple repeating numbers, because this is part of how it started for me. Anyway, so I was working at the time. I retired. I was waiting for my husband at the time to retire. I was living north of Chicago. I raised 2 children, 2 boys who are well beyond grown men now. And I retired to Tennessee. It had been a planned retirement, but while that was happening, before the retirement, I was home alone, waiting for my husband to retire. And I was literally on my hands and knees in tears, because I knew my life had to change, and I knew I had to find my own pain relief. Basically, you know, the doctors are like, no more drugs. You got to figure it out. This is as good as it gets. It was that simple. And one day I opened up the cabinet, and that was it. My body was like, no more. Please, not even a Tylenol, not even an Advil, nothing. And I'm like, I was done. Prior to me leaving work, before I retired, I started waking up a little bit earlier to meditate, to connect with my angels. I would wake up early in the morning and light a candle And because I purposely wanted to start connecting with my angels, this started activating something in me. I got a book about connecting better with angels. And I started actually doing it with intention every single morning before I went to work for as long as I could, until I was almost late for work. I started getting dreams about tesseracts and words and things like that. I looked up one day. I said, why do I keep seeing 1111? And that was it. I Googled 1111 and I said, why am I seeing 1111? All the time. It was something that happened all my life, and repeating numbers, but it was 1111. And so I'm literally looking for pain relief. I'm looking for answers. I'm in tears. I'm looking for help from my guides and angels. I don't know what to do. And I Googled it, and the first thing I came across was something that said light workers. And I was like, what's 11? A light worker? What's a light worker? I had never heard of the term. And I burst into tears because I'm reading it going, you know how it is, you guys, you look it up and you go, oh, yep. Oh my God, what? That was the beginning of my journey, literally in 2011. Because I started the 1111 thing, I started finding things about spirituality and light workers. And then I learned about channeling. Now, channeling was something that I learned a little bit about. I had a psychic in my family, and my aunt, and she had channeled at one point my mom's brother that died suddenly as a young man. Him and his wife died together in a car accident a month after they were married, and my aunt channeled him. And my mother was there. It was a seance. So I had already known about this. So I knew what the word channeling meant. I kind of understood it. So as you guys know, once you start looking for this stuff, you start getting fed more stuff. As far as YouTube channels and things. And I found Daryl Anka first. I think I found Bashar first. Out of all the channelers, I found Bashar.
I think you did too.
It was like,
I think you did too. Because I think you used to talk a lot about Bashar. Yeah.
Something happened to me, and that's how it led into the drawings with the sacred circuits. Was he had presented what he called sacred circuitry from Sirius. And he talked about how to use them and what they could do, how they could activate you, how they could connect you with the star Sirius. Once I started learning about the star Sirius and everything, so I started learning more about that kind of stuff. I've always been felt connections to Egypt, and like a lot of us. So when I was searching on channelers, I knew nothing about light language at this point, you guys. Nothing, never heard of it. Still knew nothing about light language. I found a channeler, you guys, and I know Christian Priya knows her, Roxanne Swainhart. She was channeling, and one of her channelings in her titles, she said she was channeling Bashar. So in my Bashar searches, then I found Roxy. Roxy sort of was right kind of at the beginning with all of us, like at the very beginning of Human Colony. So it was through Roxy and her being, she kind of found Human Colony too at the time. And her channel is Odyssey of Ascension. And that led me to Jim. And it was, I'm getting goosebumps because this is how it was so weird how it all started. And then now I was telling no one, let me just say, no one in my family knew. My husband didn't know. Nobody in my family knew that I was even pursuing any of this at all. I knew it just wasn't the right vibration anyway. It didn't matter. I was just, for some reason, I kept it to myself. And I found Jim, and then it was at the very beginning when Jim had very first started channeling the Yael, Takur, Gert Vitnier. He and Max had just started Human Colony. There was a thing on Human Colony on the website, and it said something like, do you want to connect with your families from the stars? And God, I'm getting rushes of energy. And I was like, oh my God, you mean this is real? Like, I'm not crazy. Like, I believe this all my life. And now there's people out here on YouTube. Now, I was never on YouTube either, you guys. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't on Facebook. I wasn't nothing. I was working, and I was planning to retire, and I had retirement property, and none of this was in my radar. So when I found that, they were just starting to do like channeling, webinars on Saturdays and other times. And at the time, at the very beginning, we were just starting to build the colonies. Like, I couldn't even believe like this was happening to me. Like, I was like, I felt like, oh my God, this is everything I ever although I never thought I could. It was like I started understanding my connections to the Sasani. I started to understand my connections to the Yael. I started understanding my connections to the Pleiadians. I started hanging out in Hucolo webinars, and they were doing light language gyms at the time, GYM, playing in the gym. I'd never heard anybody speaking light languages before, ever in my life. And I started making friends with the people. I started hanging out. And then one day she asked me, Wendy, you've been hanging out in these webinars and you really haven't said anything, and you've been listening to all these light languages. Would you like to share something? And I was just seriously.
Who asked you? Was that Sabrina or was it
Sabrina.
Roxanne?
It was Sabrina.
Just for everyone's knowledge, there was a woman named Sabrina who would run these light language hangouts when Google Hangouts was around.
Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
And it was Google Hangouts, you guys. We could only fit 10 people in the Hangout at a time. So people would have to come and go to let people in the room, because that was all it was. Yeah. There was no Zoom yet. It was only Google and Google Hangouts. And I tell you what, I felt so privileged, really, to be able to, I couldn't even believe what was happening to me. I'm like, I'm meeting people from all over the world. I was so excited because all these people in Hucolo were people who lived all over the world. Liney was in the UK. We had people from Australia. We had lots of people from the UK, Scotland, Ireland. All of a sudden, I'm so tingly, you guys. All of a sudden, I've got this family that I didn't know I had. It was like, I can't let this go. Like, this is mine. And I knew.
Susan commented that it sounds similar to her own journey.
Really?
And I
just
wanted to mention that the story that you have to tell is sort of a long story, but it's very important for like people to hear the story. Otherwise, you'd be telling a different story.
It's a great story. Keep going.
We were talking about ETs and DNA infusions, and he was channeling to Kerr, and all of a sudden it was like we started talking about building these literally colonies, and I want to call it in space, but it's not really like that. And then we started talking about astral travel, and we started talking about Era and other planets, and then we started talking about hybrid children. I'm like, now I realized, and let me just back up just for a second. When the first time I ever heard Bashar channeled through Daryl Anka talking about hybrid children, my heart went, oh my God, I'm a hybrid mother. There was no hesitation. No, it wasn't am I? It was, I am. It was, I knew. I cried. You guys, I haven't cried as much in the last 10 years because of emotional, spiritual awakenings, breaking down negative belief systems, even understanding what the hell is a negative belief system. I didn't know anything about that stuff. And as I started to learn it, I got this compulsion to teach it. It was simultaneous. As soon as I started So that day in the light language gym, I was scared to death. And all of a sudden I just closed my eyes and I opened my heart and I said, you know what? This can't be happening by accident. If there's anybody that wants to say something through me in light language, I'm open. And we were live, guys. And I was scared shitless. And all of a sudden, I just closed my eyes and it all came out. I had no idea. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And it just came out. And from that moment, it just was like a floodgate. I started channeling. I started hearing voices in the shower. I started hearing, this is the Syrian Council. This is the emissaries of the Light Collective. This is something that we are representatives from all realms, all dimensions. The angelics, I'm like Elohim. I'm like, what's an Elohim? Swear to God.
You were putting out a video a day, if I remember. I don't know if you're still doing that.
Every day.
But
So
you-
I started my channel. I started speaking light languages in August of 2015. I'm sorry, 14. I started my YouTube channel, Languages of Lights, on January 5th, in January of 2015. And you're right. I was making a video every day. Now, let me just say, during that time of my retirement, we decided that we wanted a dog. I got my dog Ranger. My dog Ranger is in my very first video and every video until he transitioned just a couple of years ago. When I met Dave, I moved to, and we'll get a little into that, but when I met Dave, I moved to Fort Lauderdale. I brought Ranger with me. But he was in every video. And what I say, when I say about the dog, and then I started understanding about Sirius and the dog star, service to humanity, my connections to the star Sirius, my role in human colony, and how the colonies started building and how each of us were so excited. Oh my God, we're going to build a light language colony. Now we're going to build a channeling colony. Now we're going to build a music colony. Now we're going to build a telepathy colony. Now we're going to build a health colony. Now I'm like, and then then there was the hybrid children. There was that whole other thing about Era and hybrid children and them being on other planets and other ships. Before I knew it, I was like realizing I was like in charge of all these hybrid children and in the nurseries. And I'm like, and I'm having dreams and I'm feeling like I'm pregnant all the time. And I'm like, not even kidding you guys. This was like the floodgates opened. And I didn't tell anybody. I told nobody. I started my YouTube channel and that was it. I started doing it every day, walking in the woods with my dog Ranger next to my house up in Chicago, Beach Park, north of Chicago along the Lake Michigan border. And it was cold, you guys. I was making videos every single day at sunrise, even in the freezing cold, in the snow, in the woods, in the farm fields, wherever I had privacy. I had a YouTube channel for a whole year before I even told my ex-husband, my now ex-husband.
I remember that because I remembered asking you, like, what does your husband think about this? I remember, and you said he has no idea. And I was like, what? And you used to sit on your porch with all these like glass bottles that had like little things in them. Am I right?
Yep.
And you used to sit there and I remember asking you that and you were saying he has no clue. And I'm like, you're doing videos every day. He has no clue. I thought this was
I did videos, you guys, I did. And then I started doing live events. Then people started asking me, well, do you do sessions? I'm like, no.
Sure.
Like, I'm like, but all of a sudden it was like, but I want to learn more. I want to know more. I want to be activated. So I started doing private sessions. Then we did a Hucolo. It was not a Hucolo sponsored retreat, but Will did a retreat. I forget what year it was now. God, I don't even remember. Isn't that terrible? He did a retreat.
1 second. Can I ask everyone that is not on screen to please put their cameras off, just because we just want Wendy on screen, if that's possible. Thank you.
And my view is different. I only see me. So, so it was still a secret. And then, however, but by this point, okay, so how long was it? It was about a year. It was my it was my wedding anniversary. I forget which one now. And so it would have been a year after 2015. So it was sometime in 2016. I finally kind of was like, did you know you married a witch kind of thing? It was like, well, the reason why I opened up to my ex was because my guides, I heard them talk to me saying, so when I first started doing my channel, if you guys are weird, if you guys want to start your own YouTube channel or whatever, I was not, let me just reiterate, I was not on camera for a whole year. I did light languages. This is how the light code information started coming to me. They said to me one day in the woods, the emissaries of the Light Collective came to me literally and said, this is something that you've agreed to do. Now is the time. I said, I can't be on camera. Nobody knows about my light languages. And they said, it's not about you being on camera. It's about what we want you to do is take out your camera and start filming nature while you're speaking light languages. This is going to activate people in a way that you don't really understand. And it's true. It started activating me too. So they said that to me. It's going to be kind of a simultaneous thing. As you learn, you're going to teach. As you start speaking light languages, we're going to teach you about light codes. I'm like, what are light codes? So they started to teach me about what comes through from nature, what comes through from the light, how the sun communicates with the plants and how we communicate with the plants and how we, when we speak light languages, communicate on multidimensional levels that even though we don't understand it, we're having conversations with elements and elementals and beings and earth, things we can't see, things we don't understand, but they were reiterating to me in that whole first year of videos. And remember, I was not on camera on any of them. And they kept telling me the conversation between the sun and the way the light flickers off the water, the trees, the walking in the cornfields and the farm fields, walking the snow, the rain, they're like, there's so much information embedded in the elements that are part of your earth. This is how you all connect, and we're going to teach you and you're going to teach it. That's how literally it all started. So I was doing literally, like she said, videos every day. By the end of the year, I literally had hundreds of videos. I was doing them as often as I could in private. Then I decided, then my guide said to me, now it's time to be, I wanted to be more of a teacher in a visible way. I had already been on Human Colony webinars by this time talking, and I was already on camera, but it was there. It was like over there. So
we're talking about the retreat.
Oh, yes. And so I finally told my husband on my anniversary a year later, this is what was happening. Kind of the reaction was, well, that's kind of ancient. Languages have been around for a long time. Yeah, that's not really surprising. He already knew I was already a little, flower girl, all that, kind of spacey, spiritual. Anyway, so it wasn't all that big of a surprise. Actually, the lack of surprise surprised me, actually. And I was like, well, what the hell was I hiding it for so long? But anyway, that's the reason I went out when I told him, was because now the light languages, I wanted to start making videos where I was in them now. And I was being guided as I'm doing this, you guys. I'm watching other channelers. Now I'm finding Jim, Bashar, all the channel, Rob Gauthier, Daniel Scranton. I found Wendy Kennedy, Nora Harold. All of those people helped form I was deep dived into channelers, like in a big way. So I was being activated from every possible, and I wanted this more than I wanted anything, because I knew this is who I am. And talk about this is who I am and nothing's going to stop me. And I remember Sabrina said to me one day in a Hucolo thing, she's like, I can't imagine anybody telling you what to do or what not to do. And it was like, and I was so appreciative of that, because it was like, I was open to the idea, you guys, that if it had to change my relationship or whatever was going on in my life, then it was going to have to be okay with me. And it did. My kids were grown. They were gone already. My kids were grown and gone. I only had my dog, getting ready to retire, moved to Tennessee, and it happened in a big way. And when I did retire into Tennessee, and I kept making videos and kept making videos. Right now, I probably have, I don't know what, maybe 1,300, 1,400 videos or something I've done over the last 8 years. So my channel's been going on since then. The only breaks in the channels, in the videos, were when I met Dave. And so I went on, so Will did a retreat. And one of the reasons why I wanted to tell my husband was because I wanted to go on these retreats Hucolo started doing retreats. And I was like, and they started at Sabrina's house, and then they started doing them at different places. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. If I keep hiding, I can't be a part of that. So that's why I came out. And I said, well, and so that's how it started. Then Will was putting together a retreat, and a bunch of Hucolo people came, and I got to meet Jim for the first time. I got to meet Angie. I got to meet so many Hucolo people. And that's also when I met Holly, who turned me on to oracle cards. She was doing readings at the retreat. She did a reading for Jim, and it touched him so much. He was in tears. And I thought, and she did readings for all of us through the whole weekend. That touched me. Something sparked in me. And I said that, and I heard, you're going to receive messages through the oracle. This is something you're going to be doing. Now, I had a dream many years prior that I written in my journal, that I had a dream, and they told me in my dream, you're going to be an oracle. I'm like, I didn't even know what an oracle was. But nonetheless, this was my first deck. This was the deck she brought, the Native Spirit deck. Many people have had it over the years, but this is the one. And something happened to me, and I thought, oh my God, there's messages through cards that, and then it was like I started speaking light languages while I'm doing the cards, and messages channeling started coming through, messages started coming through for people. So that's how I also started doing sessions. I started doing sessions with the cards, light languages, information started coming through for people. Then I started getting the drawings. Then I started getting all of these light code drawings. It was like the sacred circuitry that I was looking at I was getting downloads of all of these, I don't know, code, like, and that's when they kept telling me, well, these are light code arrays. And then, oh, who else? Brad Johnson, another one, channeling Adronis. It was like I started learning all this stuff more about light codes and light languages, and it kept pouring in and pouring in. And I'm thinking, what are all of these? Like, what is all
Can
of
you hold up your light language?
hold up.
You have some really complex ones. If you would just take a moment and.
Here's like, this one's now this was for a client. So what happened was, you guys, is people started doing, I started doing sessions with people, and all of a sudden, like the night before, I would start getting like information for them, like these symbols and galactic symbols. Dave and I actually started publishing. This is how full circle I've come now. Dave and I have started publishing these light code journals and stuff, because my guides have been telling me for the last like 6 months now. It's there's so much more importance to this than even I gave it. But so I retired to Tennessee.
Colorful.
And by this time I was doing sessions. As many of you might remember, my buddy Bree, when Human Colony started evolving, and I met a girl named Bree. She found me through my channel. And they were going through some changes in Human Colony, and they needed a new web host. And I said, well, this is something that she might be interested in. I said, I introduced her to Jim, and because she had been doing hosting for me for my webinars. So she was doing all the moderating. So she was moderating for me for all of my live events, because by this time I was doing live events a lot. And so Bree was doing the moderating. And so I introduced her. So Bree was actually, if you go way back in the videos, Bree actually did a lot of moderating for Human Colony. And I think it was right before you came in, Krishna, right? I think so.
I kind of was coming in and out from, because I started in when I had a radio show with, at the same
Yes.
time, same station on Rob Gothier and Roxanne.
That's right. And Roxy, yes. And so it was
Yeah.
kind of this intermingling of, we were all kind of, it was like this galactic, literally galactic family that only we understood. And I felt like I couldn't even explain it to anybody. And I'm sure you guys understand that. So anyway, yes, these intricate things started coming through, especially ones like these. Like, not especially, but it was, and then I started getting them for people, for sessions, and to help them expand, change their brain synapses, help them move through negative belief systems, help them hear their guides. It was like, then they started to tell me as I'm writing these, like I would start to hear, this is the Pleiadian Council. This is, let me see if I can, let me see what this says. Sacred circuits from Sirius, stepping through the Lion's Gate, sacred circuits from the star system, the Lyran Syrian Council. This one I did in 2019. Oh, this was the one that they said, okay, these are transportational transmissions of intention of connection. Touch them, breathe them, read them like Braille. You know, when I told Bree this, she burst into tears. They told me, these, if you touch them and touch them and go over them with your finger, like Braille, it starts to, I'm telling you, it starts to do something to me. And they said, tell people to do that, print them out, make them public, print them out, and have people trace them. Because what's happening when you're doing it, or you're writing it, or you're tracing with your finger, you're literally, you're changing the vibration of the human that you are to become a new version of the frequency, a frequency of a new being. I'm not shitting you guys. This is what this is. And I'm like, what? So, but this is what I'm, and now it's like, I've come full circle. Here it is, like what, 8-9 years later, and I'm still doing this, and I'm still sharing this, but now it's in a new way. And so then I started sharing them with people more, and giving them in sessions for people to help them expand and activate. And then I started asking other channelers like Brad Johnson and Adronis, and, you know, what is this? You know, what are these? And he said, the light codex arrays, they are definitely, you know, to change our vibration, our brain synapses, to connect, to allow us to connect with our multidimensional selves. And as many of you know, if you're here, we are living concurrent parallel reality lives as all of these other versions of ourselves. My Pleiadian version, but yet we can't even understand the infinite level of this. We tend to want to label, and we can't really understand the infiniteness of the multidimensionality of our soul, the oversoul connections. And there's so many people that have helped me a lot. Lisa Royal Holt is a wonderful channel. She came out with the Galactic Heritage cards. I started studying them. Because what I want to say is, all of these people helped me develop. They helped me open my own gifts and abilities. And then it was, okay, how can I share this to help other people? So I just started sharing those, and I went to the retreat. I started opening up more. Things started happening with me, and there were connections. It was as if I was living a whole nother life, but I was still living my life. I was still living, retired. I was still doing, you know, moving toward that idea. And then, kind of out of the blue, a woman approached me from someone I had met, I think through either YouTube or Facebook. She speaks light languages, had been for a long time. She lived, and I think still does, in Florida. And she said, you know, I came across you on YouTube or whatever, Facebook, and I've been thinking about doing a light language public event. And she had never done anything like that before. And I had never really done anything like that before, being the people who run the event. You know, we were the event, so to speak. And it was all about light language. And again, I was living in Tennessee at the time. It was 2018.
Yeah, I think it was.
Dave and I met
Mhm.
in 2018.
Yeah.
We were just having a conversation. He found me on YouTube, was enjoying my videos, said, I really want to meet you. And I want to have a session with you. Literally had a session with me, 2018. That was in July of 2018. 7/7, and the year equaled 7. So it was 7/7/7. And, you know, and so to me, that was significant as well. That was one of the first things I wrote. The night before I was getting ready to have a session with him, I started getting all these downloads, and a lot of it was really weird because one of them, immediately the first thing I heard was the Star of David, King David, 7/7/7 was the date. I started getting all this information. Well, then the day I met him, I find out not only is his name David, well, I already knew his name was David, but I also found out that he was Jewish, that it was like all of this weird information that I had put on his page, was all so bizarrely synchronistic. It was really weird. So, and then we didn't really talk other than liking my videos and comments and stuff like that. We didn't talk for really another year until this lady in 2019 asked me, or I think it was then, I'm like getting my dates confused, but asked me to, if I wanted to, yes, go on a do this light language thing with her. And it was at a beautiful posh hotel. Thank you, Bree and Dave, and all who attended, because it changed my life and it changed the life of a lot of people there. It was the first time I had ever done light language physically with other people in a room, like other than Hucolo people at the retreat. I'd never gone out and done this in public. This was a public event at a very, very expensive hotel. I had to pay my own way. It was not paid for. I paid for everything. I paid Bree's way because she couldn't afford it either, because I told her, you're coming with me. I'm not doing this alone. So I brought Bree with me. We went together. And we did this 3-day event. The night of the meet and greet, Friday night, we realized, as many hotels, even though posh hotel, the Wi-Fi was crap. And we realized we weren't going to be able to broadcast live as we had told people who had signed up for this whole 2-day event, whatever, to be broadcast live. And we realized we weren't going to be able to do it.
Now,
Dave came.
a little bit of background.
Did I miss something?
is that,
Enter Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome, Dave.
taking care of my step grandson, who was a disabled veteran with a spinal
Yes.
cord injury.
He's a quadriplegic.
And at this point, I was taking care of him by myself.
This is a good
And-
point, though.
I was in Fort Lauderdale and living in a home, taking care of him. So we could not travel.
A house,
And,
a big house.
and AJ and I were both involved with the spiritual journey stuff as well. But when I found out Wendy was coming to Fort Lauderdale,
To do this event,
I was very excited because I was going.
there was
There
no,
was no
like,
other-
no
There was
question.
no place else in the world that she could have gone where I could have possibly have met her.
He couldn't, because being a quadriplegic, AJ couldn't leave the house. Dave couldn't leave the house for more than an hour, like at all. So, and he couldn't travel. So without me coming, it was really weird. Of all the people I would have met in the world, that we would have had it was at Fort Lauderdale.
So she was 30 minutes from my house. So I bought 2 tickets and
It's the first one to buy tickets to the
I told AJ, we're going to meet Wendy. And he's like, what are we gonna do? I said, I don't know.
I
but
don't
we'll
know.
go."
We're going.
So,
So that's how Dave ended up coming. And then Friday night we did the meet and greet, realized we didn't have internet, and Dave lived so close by. And then what did you do? You used your what? I don't know, hotspot, or what did you do?
Yeah.
We were frantic. We didn't know Bree was like,
Mm.
and then the woman who was hosting the event forgot her camera to broadcast the event. So she had to go buy a camera at like Walmart at like 10 o'clock at night for this event. And it was like, so Dave ended up staying there. I still can't believe he did this with AJ in AJ's wheelchair. He ended up staying there till Friday night, that night, helping us set up everything until well after midnight. It was probably 1 or 2 in the morning. I got no sleep at all, you guys. The event of my life, I got zero sleep. I did not sleep at night. And if anybody knows, Bree knows how much I love my coffee. Would you believe this posh hotel had no coffee for me at 5 o'clock in the morning? I was like, are you kidding me? It was beyond ridiculous. And then the whole thing, the whole event, you guys, if you want to call everything that could possibly go wrong in your first event at a beautiful hotel, went wrong. We had just gone live because of Dave. We went live, started the web and started the event, this live event. I have a room full of people here, a room full of people in this hotel room.
11.
Right now,
Right
is
now.
it? Oh my God.
Susan says.
Mwah. And
11.
11. We have to kiss at 11. Sorry.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of talking you guys about connecting with the water in our body, the water collective, how light language, when you speak light language, how it affects the water in your body, how it affects water on the planet, how people go to places for water to speak light languages, to bless the water on the planet and to activate it and do all of these things. And we're talking about water. And I kid you not, you guys, all of a sudden, the ceiling started leaking in the room. Drip, drip, drip. And I'm telling you, it is right in front of me while I'm speaking. All of a sudden it gets worse, and it's poor Bree runs out of the room trying to find buckets, and the management, we don't know what's going on. The ceiling's leaking, and leaking in a big way it was. All of a sudden there's buckets everywhere, leaking everywhere, water's coming out of the ceiling. All of our equipment, everything we brought had to be moved to another room that had no like
Set up.
AV stuff. I'm like, what's happening? I was just like mortified. Seriously, we had to pick up everything. Everything was wet. Everything we had set up. The people in the audience were starting to get wet. And there's Dave with AJ in the wheelchair. I'm like, what is happening? It was the weirdest thing. I don't think I've ever shown anybody the video of the event, swear to God. So we had to end up moving to another room. And then it went sort of interestingly well in that other room. And then there was a situation that arose with us and the host to whom I was invited. And it was just, by this time, it was Sunday or Saturday? No, it was only a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think, event.
No, just Friday.
Or just
Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
It was
right.
one day.
It was one day.
Yeah.
It felt like
So there was like a meet and greet
Friday night, and then we did the event on Saturday, and then this whole thing happened on Saturday. So we leave the room to leave the host with her guests, and Bree and I leave the room for a few minutes to go to our room. We come back and everybody's gone. Like everybody from the event, everybody was gone. We didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. And so I was like, I just couldn't even believe this was happening. Well, Saturday night, we went to dinner, a bunch of us that were.
Well, what happened was sort of prematurely.
Yes. The event kind of ended.
No, they moved everyone to a different room for a sound healing.
Oh, yes, for a sound healing thing. That's true.
So everyone had
yes,
moved,
yes.
but it wasn't supposed to be at that time. You were supposed to.
The whole thing, yes, our schedule got kind of goofed up the whole schedule got goofed up because of the whole situation.
Yeah.
So then, yes, because we also had a sound bath where a girl came in to do a sound bath with, with
Yeah.
bowls and.
So when the sound healing thing was done,
Yes,
you were supposed to come back.
like reconvene,
and
and
that
it just didn't
She just
happen.
said, okay, well, we're running a little late.
It just
Thanks for
was
coming. See you
weird.
later.
It was, so it was very, like, it felt like I didn't have any closure. I didn't get to say thank you to everybody. It was sort of really weird. And so Bree and I came away feeling very bewildered, let's just say. And we had to, because of the leak, we had to store all of our stuff in a room. Then they couldn't find our belongings. They didn't know what room they stashed all of our crap in. We didn't know where. We still ended up not even finding our stuff, a lot of our stuff.
And interestingly too, there were these little bags of goodies.
Oh yeah, the goodie
that
bags that I
everybody had. Well, when everyone left to go to the sound healing, we were supposed
we
to
had to
come
pick up
back.
all the goodie bags.
Well, we were supposed to come back to that same room, which was the new room that was dry, but the hotel
had put all the
packed
packed up,
everything
up.
and locked it up.
We were like, we couldn't even give all the, it was just so
we didn't
weird.
get any of those
We
goodies.
didn't get right. Even Dave didn't even get his goodie bag, you guys. It was just so bizarre. So I was very upset that night, and we were all at dinner, and I was sitting next to Dave, and AJ was there, and we were all, a bunch of us, we were all at a big table having dinner. And after the whole event, and I was really upset, you guys. Like I was just like, and Dave said to me, can I do something for you? And now, mind you, we had just met in person for the first time the night before. He says, can I show you what, from my perspective, what happened at the event? It was really strange. So he held my hand and I closed my eyes, and the weirdest thing happened. It was so emotional. The weirdest thing happened was, all of a sudden I was standing behind. Okay. I was looking at myself doing the light language, doing the whole thing, and the roof leaking. And I was seeing myself standing at the back of the room, watching everybody from behind them, watching as things were happening. And he sort of talked to me through. It was almost like I energetically got to feel what each person, it was really weird, what each person was feeling in the room while this was happening. He said, that was our perspective. Seriously. And I'm like, and so we really, literally, me and Bree hung out with Dave and AJ and a couple other people the whole weekend. And then Bree and I stayed till Monday. We left on Monday. We missed our plane. Bree and I missed our plane. It was like, it wasn't because we were late. We were at the airport plenty early. We were eating. There was music in the restaurant. We couldn't hear them call us. She looks at her watch. She's like, literally, we watched our plane pulling out. And I was like, okay, so that was that. And literally we walked up, we got a flight in another hour. We just had to wait an hour. I got home, and the whole time we were at home, Bree stayed with me for another week, I think, or a few days after I got back to Tennessee, because she flew in from Milwaukee. She still lives there. She still lives in Milwaukee. So she was living in Milwaukee. So she had to fly back from Tennessee to Milwaukee. She stayed at my house a few more days. That's all we talked about was the event, Dave and AJ, all the fun we had hanging out. And we just kept corresponding, and nothing weird. Seriously, you guys, nothing weird, nothing weird. I can't even explain what happened, but there was a little kitty cat involved. I got a kitty cat. It died in a month, and something changed, something switched in me that said, it's now. Like, I don't really know exactly what happened. And
Well, when
Dave had told me,
when we were
And this
we
was
had
only-
met in Florida
August,
that for the event,
which was in,
there was a very divine connection.
it was really
that-
weird, and
that-
not
that
what you would think.
felt.
It was divine. It
Yes.
wasn't like a physical, I don't even want to say it that way, but it was there like literally like a divine something happened. And And I went home, like I went home to back to my life. And I was like, not,
It was a very
wasn't-
energetic explosion, really.
yep.
Uh,
And it's true. And nothing weird happened while I was in Florida.
no, it was.
I kissed him on the cheek goodbye, and he kind of pecked me on the lips, and that was it. And I left and I went home. And then August, September, October, by November, 3 months,
3 months.
by November, a week before my birthday, which also was Thanksgiving. On my birthday that year was Thanksgiving. And a week before my birthday, I moved in with Dave. And I said I was leaving. I told my husband I was leaving, and I left with, and Bree came. Bree came to my house. She helped me pack. My ex-husband helped me pack. And I arranged to leave. And we rented a car, and she drove with me to Florida, and I moved in with Dave. And I had never spent any other minutes with him prior to that in any way. No. And there was no video. No, there was none of that happening, you guys. No. So get it out of your head. No, none of that was happening. None of that happened. We had some touching conversations, and he told me how much he loved me, and I don't even know how that happened. So we
opened our hearts and allowed our
And-
feelings to
and then what was it,
happen.
a little over a year ago now? The pandemic happened. As soon as I moved in with him, the pandemic started. We couldn't go anywhere. We
So
couldn't
the little
leave.
bit that we
The
might
little bit of,
manage
right, the little bit of
to-
time. So we couldn't leave the house at all. AJ was 24/7. And I realized what it meant to be a caregiver for someone he was either in a wheelchair or he's in the bed. And now I already kind of knew a little bit from having corresponding with Dave the last couple of months, what his schedule was like with AJ, but I had no idea what it's like to give for someone, a quadriplegic person. And now, mind you, AJ's a 30-year-old man. He is not he's not little. And yet I got to witness him scuba dive. AJ, a quadriplegic. So, and now he's gotten to also swim with the dolphins since then. So,
which we didn't even get
which
to
we because he's in the airline industry, a program we could no longer stay in the house. Our internet. I just want to make sure. So we couldn't stay in the house anymore. We had to sell the house, but we didn't know what we were going to do. How were we going to deal with AJ? Where were we going to go? Where were we going to live? He needs special care. He needs spinal cord units. He needs brain injury units. He needs help. He needs care. And let me tell you guys, there's no care out there and nobody pays for it. So if anybody thinks that, it's not true. Let me just dispel that right now. There was no support, financial or otherwise. Nursing care was minimal to nothing. We really literally never left the house. We went grocery shopping. We had to be back within an hour anyway. The grocery store was like 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We lived in a HOA community in Florida, and it was hot. Now AJ can't sit outside for very long because he can't regulate his body temperature. So now we're looking for a cooler place to live and a house that we could renovate. That Dave had renovated the whole house for AJ, spent his whole life savings to build this house in Florida for AJ to live in. He had a hospital bed, he had lifts, he had a big, beautiful bathroom. He had renovated the whole house for him. Now, all of a sudden, we don't know where we're going to go or what we're going to do, but we had to sell the house in Florida. So we were looking for a house. Well, we found out that Birmingham, Alabama has a spinal cord injury unit. He also happens to be a veteran, AJ. So there's a VA here in Birmingham that would also specializes in special spinal cord injuries, because we also found out that even as a veteran, nobody will pay to move him anywhere. They do not pay to move you from one facility to another. Nobody pays for that.
I know that happened with my father because I moved him from Charleston, South Carolina to St. Petersburg, Florida.
They don't help. There's no help, you guys.
And you
Look,
had to do I did get a ambulance to take him.
yes, and they wouldn't even do that. They
Well,
wouldn't.
so they said
and
that
it's
they would
too
help us
far.
move,
And that, yeah,
but
they
what
said they
meant
was, we'll help you
paperwork.
with the paperwork. They didn't mean we'll help you move. So now
No.
AJ, he can't, you can't take him anywhere. He can't sleep in a hotel. He couldn't.
And he could only travel.
And he could only
so far.
travel for a certain distance without being in his hospital bed. So we were like,
Yeah, these are
use the facility. So at this point, we're like, we don't know what to do. So I don't even know how we did it, because we even told them we don't even know what to do with AJ. It was during the pandemic, and they said, well, you can't bring him here. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? The VA in Miami. They're like, well, you can't bring him here. I'm like, well, we don't have a choice. We're homeless. We have to leave. You don't understand. They really literally wouldn't let us arrange anything. They wouldn't let us do anything. They wouldn't. I know none of this has to really do with light language, but it kind of does. But we were looking for help for AJ. We were looking also to help AJ heal. So and then he also had rehab and things. So he had a place for rehab. So anyway, we were trying to find a house that we could even begin to think about renovating. Now we're down here in this basement, and it's a walkout basement, but the rest of this house has stairs. There is no way for him to get in this house. And it would have cost so much money for us to renovate the house, but we had to find something that he could even get in the door and even stay here. There's a bathroom right here that Dave just went into, but we would have to rip out this whole wall to make a bathroom and shower here, because there is a bedroom down here too. So it was like trying to find a house that we could afford after selling the house in Florida, which we didn't have no idea. Then because of the situation with the pandemic and Dave's job, nobody would give us a mortgage.
So also, while we're telling this whole story,
And we had a handicap van at the time.
we are doing all these things while also trying
To do
apply
all of the
spiritual
principles to our life.
and
How do I
guidance
teach? Yes. And thank you let's switch into
in
gears.
full time.
How do we do that and apply the things that I'm teaching online? How do I continue to do videos? How do I continue to serve
and
do what I
in the
love
spiritual way
and
that we
live?
want to.
Yes. And apply the principles that I'm teaching everybody in my sessions every day. How do I live that life? How do I walk my talk?
Not just on the weekend.
And not just in videos, and not just we're talking real freaking life here. How do I apply light language and my spiritual gifts but what I know, how do I take the principles of Bashar and all of these channelers and the Arcturian Council, the Pleiadians, all of the people that Jim channels. By the way, Elijah, very close. So, and then understanding my connection to,
I have an Elijah cup.
yes, we have Elijah Cup. And then my connections to all of that and him and my multidimensionality. And I started, it was just such a crazy time, you guys. So this is the real deal. So when we have these webinars and stuff, it's nice to chat. God, I'm getting a really loud tone in my ear, you guys. Oh my God, it's so loud.
So hi, Elijah.
So
And Jim.
Jim. So this is real life. How do we take all of this spiritual stuff that we learn and the things that we learn about community, channeling, light languages? The reason why they told me to start putting these symbols on things like composition books for people to learn in school, they said, start putting them. I don't even have any down here. You can find all of our books on my website, you guys, languagesoflights.com. And they're all for sale on Amazon. Please help support us. And I didn't even talk about World Contact Day.
Mhm.
So this year, and because Dave does this stuff, he does graphic design, he knows how to do this stuff. My guide started telling me about getting these light codes out there, these symbols, to people who are in school, people at work, how they help us retain information, how they help us connect with our multidimensional guides, how they help us connect with other star systems. That's another thing they wanted me to mention right now too. One of the things that they explained to me, like this journal we made is a 52-week planner, and there's different symbols on each page. And it also has to do with recognizing signs and symbols and synchronicities. And everybody know, if anybody knows me, they know how much I love synchronicities, repeating numbers. When we identify synchronicities, our path, our messages from our guides. So they started telling me about how even one symbol, like those ones I was showing, like these, how even one symbol could actually, if somebody's, kind of zoning in on it, that, and this is just one example of the symbols, but here's some kind of different ones. They were like, oh, this is an explanation of the entire ascension. I'm sorry, Dave, I do that to you all the time. Of the entire ascension of a planetary system. And just by you guys looking at it, and you know what I mean? That you're receiving sort of like a library of information through one symbol. So the idea that these are brought through us, through people, and there's lots of people you guys know on Facebook and all over the social media now doing these symbols. I just happened to start doing it 8 years ago, and I think it was only 2 people that I found back then that were actually doing this stuff, writing the symbols. And then I started and all the signs and the languages and the singing, and then the drumming and the sound healing, and all this stuff started pouring in, in all these different languages. And
maybe we should
start
giving people an opportunity to.
So yeah, if you guys have questions, I don't want to keep talking, but I really wanted to just throw all of this out at you that, my God, this is what I've been doing for the last 8.5 years. And yet this is where it all began. So all of you who've been through this and been here and been through Hucolo, whether it's from the beginning or you just hopping in today, it's a journey, you guys. You never get someplace. It's like it's constant.
It's a constant unfolding.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions? Because
Yeah,
some people had some comments. If you have any questions for Wendy, we weren't quite sure how the webinar would go or what would be the gist. Was it going to be light language talking or what? But I think that whatever question you have about light language,
we're so
for Wendy. And Susan has a question.
Here, you guys, I've got cards. If you want to pull a card, maybe bring through a message.
Okay, well, we have about 30 minutes left. Okay. We're gonna have to have you back, Wendy, soon, so we can kind of a more structured thing.
Out, you guys, I'm so scared.
No problem. So we'll start with Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
So
now we have to sell our house and we're gonna buy an RV. So go ahead.
I mean, our journeys are always changing. You just have to go with the flow. So, so my question is, so I speak light language, but it hasn't come through yet to receiving, code symbols for me to draw. And I do artwork as well. And part of my journey is doing energy infused artwork and from what I've been told, but I'm just wondering, like, I guess what would be a good way to get activated to start drawing the light codes, or what is your process for receiving them, or or it just comes through and you draw them?
First of all, come visit me. But no, and I actually have, and Dave has been working very diligently also on my website. So we're adding more and stuff all the time, including more of these codes. But yeah,
I'll definitely be checking out your journals for sure.
That's part of what it is getting, introducing.
It'll help activate maybe.
But honest to God, you guys, that's how it started for me. This is free for everybody. Go find it. You can find it on bashar.org as well. You can find it on Pinterest. You can find it out there. Just Google Sacred Circuitry from Sirius. I highly recommend you find the actual event that channeled through Daryl Anka. Find the event and spend the $35 and buy it. Seriously. Buy the event and watch it, and he will tell you what to do with them. I have done lots of videos, you guys. Go back 5 years, or no, 8 years. I've done tons of videos on this, you guys. If you don't want to spend the money on the event, I've done tons of videos about how to use them, knowing thyself more fully, how to interact with them, But by this time, the Sasani, I have a Sasani counterpart named Echo. I channel that information quite frequently, and Echo's kind of like a future of Sasani right now, who we're interacting with. Echo is a version of me, but of the Sasani that's like way
Like a parallel lifetime.
yeah,
I know
like
I've found
but
out
a way
about myself. Yeah.
future, like a future version. So what
And-
they've said to me now is, you guys, you don't necessarily have to go in the order in which it was before, because we are all new now, you guys. The vibration that we've come through since Daryl channeled that, but yes, go out there and look at them. They're on Pinterest, they're on Google. They're
Those
original
symbols are
sacred.
activating.
Yes, those right there. If you start working with those by themselves, that's how it started for me. I just started working with them. And I say working with them, draw them. First, draw them. Look at the symbol, bring it up on your computer, on your phone, draw it on a piece of paper. That's how I started. Do I have
And-
my big book here? Anyway, that I drew them like this big. I'm not even kidding. And as soon as I started drawing them, I started sharing them in YouTube videos. I started telling people, look at this symbol. This is the symbol for center. Number 1 equals center. The other thing is, you guys, I have this on my website. Dave wrote a program and put it right on my website. So as soon as you go on the homepage, you'll see the sacred circuit for today. When I say today, we add up the date for today, 5/27/2023. What is the eagle? Reduce it down to that number. I have on my website that numbers for today, which I didn't even add it up today. So whatever the sacred circuit is for today, broken down, that's the sacred circuit. So you can look at them on my website also, but they're just for that day. But the point is, just looking at it is activating.
And when you have a session with Wendy, one of the things that she does is she will draw
Draw some
symbols
symbols for you.
specifically for you.
Yeah. So I might have to have a session in the
So-
future.
And it's just helpful and to do that. But that's why I'm saying, you guys, you don't have to come to me, but please do. I love your support.
Well,
but
I love connecting with you.
kind of the whole point of it is, now I can't believe how many people on Facebook are drawing this stuff now and creating art and creating all of this combination. So I don't want to take up too much time on one question, but that is the best way to start. Looking at other people's stuff, looking at starting with those sacred circuits. And I went into it saying, I would like to connect with my Sirius family, my Sirius star being family. And I asked out loud, what is my service to humanity? What is my service? As soon as we ask the question, God, my hairs are standing up. As soon as we ask the question, you guys, what is my service? The answers just come. They will. The drawings will come. Dave and I just wanted to say, World Contact Day has been going on since 1953, you guys. There's a whole story about it. You can buy the journal. Dave and we did a World Contact Day 70th anniversary event this year. Dave, I just said,
Which you could
I
find
had to
out
do it.
from your website.
It's on my website. There's a YouTube. It was 6 hours long. Sean Swanson came and channeled. We had a couple people come. But the point is, I was guided to do a World Contact Day to help us all connect in a whole new way, like bring it back. How many people are going, oh, we have a World Contact Day celebration every year? How come I never knew about that? I didn't really know about it. There's a whole story, the song about from the Carpenters and from the people who started the song for World Contact Day. So I have been guided in a big way. This is it, you guys.
To help
I really
facilitate
believe
open
Yeah.
contact.
open contact is going to happen, and it's going to happen soon.
I heard 2026,
And
like
see,
20 or 25 even. I
And-
just recently heard that in a channeling, but
And for all of you here and all of you listening and watching, whenever you watch this, it's happening right now this year. Those of us it's already happening. It's not gonna.
yeah. Or
Already-
people will have individual experiences leading up
Exactly.
to like
So
a
all-
public event that people
And
can't
I
deny,
would love it.
basically.
And yes, I do think that there will be a public event where all of us are not going to be able to.
Yeah, you can't deny the existence any
But
longer.
so I would say,
Yeah.
So World Contact Day was a big deal for me this year because I felt like, and it just so happened it was the 70th anniversary. It's not about us contacting them anymore. It's about us it's about us bringing them here now and interacting with our galactic families, period.
Yeah.
Not about, are they there? It's about, we're not ready. Let's get ready. And this is how light languages help. Doing all this stuff helps. So I hope that answers your question. And I don't want
Yes, I'll definitely look into that more. And yeah, I always say, ask Mother, Father, God, please show me how I may be of service to you today.
and I have a 52-week planner you can get code activated with.
All right. Well, I'll let Wendy ask her question.
Okay, go
'cause
ahead, Wendy.
She does light codes. So
Oh, I have a comment. When what you said about it's not about us them contacting one of the first things I ever channeled was it was intergalactic, inside, not outside. But anyway, that was just one of the first things I ever channeled. Okay, go ahead, Wendy, and then we'll go to Bola. No, actually, Bola's next. We'll go to Bola and then we'll go to Wendy. Go ahead, Bola.
Hi, Bola.
Okay.
Thank you, Krishna Priya. I need to learn to pronounce your name properly, Krishna Priya. Thank you, Wendy. I have actually resonated with you for some time. I saw you. Sorry, I can't use my video. I've got really low bandwidth at the moment. I'm calling from London. I'm in London, UK. So I saw you on Kevin Moore's channelers some months ago, I think that was, and I really resonated with you. And I've been listening to your videos. So thank you so much. I'm listening to your story now. I know why I resonated with you because I'm also a caregiver. And it's really, really impactful how the journey changes. Some way, somehow, something powerful shifts. Because I've been doing professional light language channeling now since March. I've been doing it for years, but professionally, having my YouTube channel and all of that, only very recently, since March. So the changes, what you said about the internal the cellular changes in the body, our emotions, our regulation, the flow of water within us. It's really powerful, because we actually change at a cellular level, findings. And my question really is, do you have any multidimensional beings who want to come through and say something to me at this time, maybe through your cards or through your light language, that will really keep me on the path. It is a journey. So it's, what the next level will be for me. And I really feel that we connect really nicely. And hello, Dave, as well.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your loving words. That's wonderful. I'm getting right now a huge hit of Pleiadian energy, and I'm hearing them. And this is one of the things that they wanted to reiterate right now. Yes, we're going to be one of the first to meet with all of you. And it really is about raising your vibration. And let us just say that this moment and with the channel is a moment for all of you to connect in a way and understand that it's conscious. You are conscious channelers, all of you. You are conscious channelers. Once you begin to understand that it's an intention and a choice, that in order for us to meet with you in any form of level, it is truly about, and this is message that we've been giving her all day, is about authenticity, becoming your authentic self. She is scared to death to be her authentic self. So this is a way for her to come through and become her authentic self. This is the similar message for you and all of us, where all of us that is always going to be in every realm and dimension. more and more of knowing ourselves, and we learn through you and you learn through us. The idea is to, the more and more that all of you become your authentic selves and are vibrating at that frequency of your core vibration in every aspect of your lives, is the first step. You want to make it more complicated. You want to make it more mysterious. You want to make it more esoteric, and that's fine. That's part of the excitement of the journey. But understand, it is as simple as, I want to talk to you. That is the message to you as well as everyone. It's as simple as, I want to talk to you, and allowing yourself to step aside and allow the information to come through. And yes, so many of us, and I say we, me as Wendy also, that we spend so much time wanting to connect with all of these specific star systems that we're really kind of missing the message. We're sort of kind of limiting the information that can come through, and how it can come through, whether it's through channeling or light codes or numbers or oracle messages, that it really is just a matter of, you are already capable of it. I'm actually, me, Wendy, I'm still astounded at Jim, how everybody can he just says, oh, okay, who do you want to channel today? I don't know that I'm not really that channel, like, you know what I mean? So that still fascinates me. The other thing that they want to say about the light languages is, again, that it is not in what do they want to say? It is not it's an interpretation, and it's each person is going to hear the levels and layers that they need to hear and the words that they need to hear. And
it's always a connection to infinite intelligence.
Impasse, reflect and redirect your energy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Where are you feeling that you're at an impasse? And remember, you guys, we aren't at an impasse. We are having an experience that we're at an impasse. This is where they want to get through to us more. You're a living, walking, breathing channel all the time, but you're so powerful, you get to experience that you're having an impasse, and reflecting and redirecting your energy. Where are you being asked right now to reflect, and where are you being asked to redirect your energy? So reflect, meaning I'm also hearing, what do we see in our reflection of our reality? And then, as Dave reminds me all the time, if you don't like your reflection, then if you don't like to see what's in your reflection, then change your vibration, redirect what you're looking at. And I've been having to do a lot of this lately, redirecting my negative beliefs, redirecting, but yet also saying, I am going through a process. And we know that tears, I think we've all understood now, tears release the negative, the physical components in our bodies that release the negative belief systems. We cry it through our tears. I have not cried. I started to say that earlier. I've not cried as much as I have in the last 3 years, let alone in the last 10, but certainly since I started speaking light language. Talk about opening the flow and the gates. So where can we redirect our energy? Where are we thinking too small, even about our guides? Where are we not thinking big enough? And it's funny that it comes at the word impasse, because that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel right now. So this is for me too. I feel like I'm at an impasse, but they're reminding me, you're just having an experience that you're having an impasse, that you're at an impasse. Just redirect your energy into where you want to flow your energy. And now you're no longer having an experience that you're at an impasse. Does that make sense?
It's really powerful. Yeah, that's so powerful. Because yes, it's, I think that reflection that comes up, and knowing that we are the co-creators of that reflection, and coming back into redirecting that consciousness, because it's all about conscious attention, redirect that back inwards.
And
so that we can actually connect even more to that infinite self within. I think that's what's coming through for me, to actually connect even more, to redirect it back into myself more and
Yes.
more,
Boy,
with
that's
more ease and flow.
ease
with
and
even
flow.
yes.
That's
I'm gonna
right. Ease and grace.
for a second. I'm going to step
Thank
in for a
you.
second because we've only got about 10 minutes
Okay.
left, and I want to
Thank
get to
you.
Wendy's
Thank you so
question.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
Sorry.
you. Thank you, Bob.
If we can just bring you in like literally like to what's today? Today is, so not next week, not the week after. So literally a month from now. No, because just,
Where are you going to be?
well, that doesn't matter. So wherever you're going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. If I have to come in from my cell phone, I will, you guys.
Okay, so then that way we can do like straight Q&A and everything, because now, once you get warmed up, people want to ask questions and we're gonna run out of time. So I wanted to get to Wendy so she can ask her question, and then we'll just try to end really on time in 10 minutes. So please like keep your answer to 8 minutes so we can say goodbye to everybody. All right, here we go. Go ahead, Wendy. Thank you, Bola, sorry.
That's so good. First off, we love the synchronicity. So let's just start with Wendy.
Yeah, exactly. Wendy, every week, Wendy, I laugh because I so seldom hear that name. And so when we're watching the webinar all the time, it's funny when
Yeah.
okay, Wendy, you're next.
I know it's hard to, I'm like, wait, is she talking to me? But anyway, I actually did want to ask you a little bit about your tarot readings. I think it sounds dynamic to me. And I know that you just pulled a card, but wanted to, kind of find out like how you do them. I know that I do. It's so funny because the synchronicities of our lives, I had same thing. Surgery ended up leading me into my experience that made me, search, although I had always been spiritual and experienced metaphysical things since I was 6. Throughout my life, I knew things. I didn't know why I knew them. I was attracted, like you were, to light language. I couldn't stop watching it. And guess whose videos were some of them I was watching? Why, yes, my dear, yours. And then started writing light language, and then was drawn to channeling. And then now we're getting ready to do this trip to Scotland, Ireland. And then I do know that we're all going to get together. I know you, Susan, and I were talking about, let's get together. Hopefully Joan will be able to join us and others. But anyway, please tell me a little bit more about your readings. And if you want to pull a mini reading for me, I'm happy to assist.
Well, what happened for me, as I mentioned, was I was watching a girl in the retreat, and I was amazed by the information that was coming through when she pulled a card. And I never understood how Oracle worked. And I know that Christian Priya has been doing classes on tarot. And I will say that I don't know the tarot. I don't read tarot, don't have tarot cards. I only use Oracle cards. That's just what I was guided to. I've never studied the tarot.
You watch them.
But I watch them. I do. I watch them. I'm interested. So for me, it was about, I started to hear more messages would come through when I would pull a card. So then I would get more light languages would come through. So even right now, I pulled the native spirit deck for you because that's the connection I feel, answering the call. You are answering the call. I'm answering the call right now. Answering the call. We're all answering the call right now. That's how I feel about 2023, that we're all answering the call in a really big way right now. And as soon as Christian sent me the message about, do I want to be here on Hucolo? I was like, oh my God, it's been years. I answered the call because I'm in the middle of so much stuff. And I thought, I feel like I was going to do everybody an injustice. And then that's answer the call.
I have that same deck.
I know you do.
It's so funny. And my first conference that we did in Mount Shasta was Lemurian Call to Action. And I have a Facebook page of the same name.
Remember?
So with the
it's, oh my God.
it does add an additional dimension
Yes.
to the message, because you're connecting with the message that you see on the card. Some are numbered, and
Some are, and this one doesn't have numbers, but in this we've got
the visual.
And this is all these, like this right here, we've got earth, air, fire, and water, and rainbow, all in this one card. So we're all answering the call, whether it's by land, by sea, by water, by air. no matter what elements we're connecting with, no matter what intentions we're sending out, it all matters, you guys. Answering
love
the
it.
call might be just going to work every day and being more compassionate. Answering the call might be, just smiling at somebody. And we've heard this a million times. We've heard Elijah talking about it. How can we serve? How do we answer the call? How are you guys, all of us humans, being asked to answer a call we're afraid to answer? I'm afraid to answer the call to go, but you know what? Now that I'm talking to you guys,
Right.
I have to go out on the road because I need to meet all of you. One of my biggest
Yes.
dreams ever was to meet everybody. I got to meet Jim, and I get to meet all these fun people at the webinars. I mean, at the retreats, and I know all of
It's
you. who have
exchanging
done-
those light codes for sure in person. I mean,
Yes.
we get some aspect of it over like our Zoom calls where we're connecting and we've got that heart to heart connection. But definitely when you're in person, it's the whole nth
And I want to
level
meet
that
you
you
guys.
just
I realize this is my next step of answering the call is I want to go do this stuff. And to be quite frank with you guys, my ex was not interested in those things. He just wasn't. That's okay. Accept that. If anybody's out there
accept
who's
them
in
where they are. Yes.
love them where they are. Love them where they are.
Yeah. And it's a hard lesson to learn because you have to let them have their journey, even though you want more for them.
I
You
don't
know that you're
what that
connecting
journey-
interdimensionally.
I don't
Yes.
know what his journey is. And who am I to say that? So this, I tell you, all of it, you guys, the guilt, all of it I've experienced. So you want to talk? Come talk
Yeah.
to me. I'm telling you, I've experienced it all. So,
So
Yes,
the
the
other
guilt, the doubt, the tears, the joy at experiencing new gifts as they
And
come online.
my
And the
dream, my
seeking.
intention to meet up, to have a relationship with someone who understands these things. And oh my God, who actually speaks light language. Because when I met him, he didn't. So talk about getting activated.
Well, I did.
Well,
I just didn't.
he
speak
just didn't
to
speak it.
anyone else.
And then he wouldn't speak it to anybody but me. But anyway, but yes. And
The
we have events too, you guys. Come into my events and we'll hang out.
the
Live.
information always wants to get to you in the path of least
Yes.
resistance.
I can't believe you.
So
I can't believe you pulled that card
the
though.
cards sometimes provide a form of least resistance that the people involved might have beliefs that are preventing the path of least resistance from getting to you.
Yes.
Limiting beliefs.
Yes.
You know, how I
It's
mean,
a-
basically with the cards, it's sort of funny. You create your own reality. So it doesn't really matter what card you pick. It'll always be the right card.
It's always going to be the
because-
right one for you.
Yeah.
because the right card will always want to be attracted to the situation. So, and it's not whatever card you pick, it's only the card you pick once you turn it over and look at it. So, you know, when you're shuffling.
It's hard to imagine that,
it's
you
really
guys, but
funny.
that's the way it is.
Sometimes we're shuffling them and they come flying out and it's really
And it's
fun.
funny because Sacred Mountain flipped over, and I remember it was just because you had just come back from Mount Shasta,
Yes.
and
Mount Shasta, yeah.
I was like, he flips over the Sacred Mountain. I'm like, oh, like, you know,
We were talking about going to Mount Shasta and
Yes.
it's like, you can't just go to Mount
you
Shasta.
just go to
I
Mount
said, well, we
Shasta.
could go drive there and hang out near it.
I was gonna say, I don't know if we can take an RV to Mount Shasta. I don't.
You
And we-
can.
From there.
You
You
can.
can. Yes, you can.
So
And they have
Okay, you guys,
campgrounds
I
that are
need to
nearby there, yeah.
interrupt you because we're at the bottom of the hour
Okay.
already. It goes too fast time.
Oh, I
So
love it.
let's plan on you being here no matter where you are, but being
Okay.
here virtually with us
Okay.
in a month from now.
Okay.
So
We'll confirm.
I don't know what that means. I think that would be the 20 something of something. So let's plan on-
What is
let's
it?
confirm
I'm
that date.
sorry.
We'll confirm that date. But why don't you, because we are out of time, why don't you do a light language blessing
Okay.
for us? Next week, Jim will be here and then we'll just say goodbye. And thank you to
Oh.
everyone's watching. And next time you come, we'll just go straight into questions and to interpretations and languages and
Awesome.
everything else.
And I'll draw some codes for y'all. Actually, I was going to do that
That'd be
today.
awesome.
Nakota vese beshe noto inkaya somosheveliana koa. Flajono vaso podena tea takia. We are having a physical experience. Lakota vese moraveshe Nayita Vikea Baso Shevasona. And it literally is about how do we express ourselves more fully, be our authentic selves, and redirect the energy of fear. Fear is nothing but 100% validation in something we do not prefer. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, what your story is, whether you're the amount of money you have or make, or I was reminded today, in a sense, how many people are walking their spiritual journey, actually being outward about it in their daily lives, outward about it to their parents, their grandparents, their children, the people they work with. For example, we had a realtor at the house the other day. That was the first time I ever said, I am a spiritual advisor. I didn't say anything about light languages. And the first thing they asked is, oh, do you have a psychology degree? I said, no, I do not. Don't let anybody tell you you need to have a something to something to something to do the thing that your heart tells you to do. No, you don't. You don't need a certificate. You don't need a piece of paper. But if that's part of your journey and that's part of your joy, then get the certificate, get the piece of paper, because that's the path that you need to take in order to become your authentic self. The piece of paper is fine. But understand, you don't need anyone's permission to be you. I got tired of the inauthenticity. We can only walk so far until our heart can't walk anymore in a body that's not in harmony with it. You get sick, things happen, and they manifest into all kinds of stuff. Yes, interdimensional means interdimensional. All your dimensions are within your consciousness. Remember, your body is in your consciousness. Your consciousness created your physical mind, your physical body, so that that's the vehicle it chose to drive through life. That's the way it is. How are you going to use it? How are you going to bring it here? In order for you to find who you are on a physical level, you already know who you are on a multidimensional level. You talk to them every night when you go to sleep. The masters of limitation. It's about waking up in the dream and realizing you're only having a limitation experience. You are a consciousness being who is everything already connected to everything. It's about us as humans recognizing that. So these information, the light codes, the sunshine, the nature, being in nature is your nature. You are nature. That's where you belong. That's where I belong. Nobody says you have to live in a hut in the woods. Nobody says that. But open your eyes to the connections that are right outside your door. That's where it starts. That's where the connections start. Start with the trees, start with the ground. We all know this. We all know it, but are you practicing it? Living it, treating yourself and your neighbor. How would you want to greet your Pleiadian counterparts when they open the door? Who are you when you're greeting them? There's no room for lack of belief in ourselves. And I'm talking to myself too. They're telling me.
Thank you. I need to cut you off. We need to stop.
Okay.
I just wanted a little blessing, and this turned into a beautiful channeling, but we really need to move into the thing. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you. We'll see you in a month. We'll start with this next time, and then you can just go for the next couple hours. I know if I don't interrupt you, this will be a half hour later, you'd still be going. So I have to interrupt you, but thank you so very much. We love you so much. So we'll see you literally like 1 month from now. Whatever between now and four Saturdays.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. Next week, Jim will be here, and it's much love to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.